and welcome to a regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Pearsall to be held today, Tuesday, December 11th. The time is 7 p.m. May I have a roll call, please?
Mary Moore.
Present.
Robert Lewis.
Present.
Richard Dunbar. Sonia Hernandez.
Here.
Brenda Trevino.
Here.
Juliana Hernandez.
Present.
Ben Briscoe. Galen Street.
Here.
We have a quorum, so let us stand for the invocation as well as the pledge of allegiance.
Please join me. Lord, thank you so much for bringing us here this evening. I just pray that you be with us as we have decisions to make for the city, and just pray that your wisdom be followed tonight, and just pray that you keep everyone safe on their journeys home after we're done. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For the record, Councilman Ben Briscoe arrival is 7:01. Citizen to be heard, anyone signed up? So we're moving on to item 5, presentation. A, agent of record presentation by Maple Brook and SWBC.
So Madam Mayor, Council, what you guys decided in the last meeting, after we reviewed the RFPs, was that you wanted to bring in top 2 because we had them in a tie score, and have them give a 15-minute presentation, so they were notified that they would be giving their 15-minute presentations tonight. Whichever one doesn't, but you guys, it doesn't matter which one they want. You can pick whichever one you want. They'll have presentations on the board in 15 minutes. When they're done, you can ask whatever questions you want to ask, whatever you want to do. And that doesn't count as part of their 15 minutes.
Okay, Maple Brook.
The mouse is right here.
We'd like to thank Mayor Moore and City Council and City Manager for allowing us to be part of the process. We are Maple Brooks. My name is Troy Persine. Here with my teammates, Steve Brooks, Jocelyn Sturgis. And we've learned a lot over the past few months. Seen us here quite a few times too. And we've been listening, observing, and Steve's going to get into what we've learned, what we gathered, and what we can do for you. Steve?
Yeah, we're going to get into PowerPoint. So hi, my name is Steve Brooks. I'm with Maple Brooks. I'm the president. We've seen y'all a couple times. It's great to be with you this evening. The term is
Let's click addition. There you go.
All right. So who is Maple Brooks? Benefits and consultant. Our passion is to challenge the status quo in health insurance benefits and educate our clients in employee benefits field. So to start off with, education is very important, especially when it comes to your benefits. Over the last 4 meetings, I've seen that there has been an education process, just like anything in life. The more you learn, the better you get at it. And we think it's very imperative that we learn a little bit about our insurance products, especially our health insurance products, because if you look at your budget items, it's probably within the top 2 to 3 budget line items here. So it's very important to know your health insurance here. Did you flip that for me? Thank you. So, who is Maple Brooks? We've got over 55 years of experience in consulting and product design. So, as a consulting firm, we have been out with many public school districts, municipalities, and taken them from the fully insured platform to a self-funded platform. We've also developed some products and different types of products in health insurance and when it comes to disability, to include disabilities plans that we've used across the state of Texas that we've produced. Building benefits platform. We're going to talk a little bit about that in a couple of minutes. But one thing I really want to get into is billing reconciliation. And let me talk about reconciliation of bills. A lot of firms out there do not get really into depth when it comes to reconciliation of bills. What that process means is whenever you take a deduction from one of the employee groups and you take the vendors, you match those up, and at the end of the day, it spits out a discrepancy report. That discrepancy report then allows you to sit down and look at that discrepancy report and say, hey, look, this person is a couple bucks off. Maybe they didn't pay their premium, maybe had an FMLA that month. So those things have to be made up for at the end of the year or somewhere during the budget. We do that with our programs and software. Outstanding customer support and service. We think that's really imperative for us to be an extension of your HR department. So. Okay, so how do we do this? Well, we start off at how? You flip one. Back. Why do we do it? Well, we think the healthcare system has some broken pieces in it. This is not anything new. I mean, you guys have been seeing this. You've probably gone through several years of renewals and having to struggle with budgets and trying to find money for the healthcare system. Amazon, some of the bigger companies out there, JP Morgan, are all right now taking a look at healthcare because we find that it's hard to keep up with those increases every year. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to look at transparency in healthcare spends, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a couple of minutes here. We also think you need broker support. So we come into this in the last 4 meetings talking a little bit about brokers, and you guys have seen a couple of them in action. We really feel like you need a back-end support from an HR department that we can come in beside you and help you out in that system. But we're passionate about saving money. There was a study done by Cal Pears several years back, and it shows that hip replacements go anywhere from $90,000 to $15,000. So there's a big spread in those spends, isn't there? Okay. Well, Cal Pears, which is California's employee retirement system, set the bar at about $30,000. They actually said, we'll give you $30,000 on a spend, and you can use it however you want. If the spend is over $30,000, then you as an employee have to pay the difference. Within 1 year, that changed the entire landscape of how California employee employee retirement systems spend their money on hip replacements. We think that transparency is important to any healthcare spend and also to yours. So what do? Listen to our clients. We evaluate what they currently have, look at their plan design, see if we can make some changes to that. Use our actuarial software, and then execute a plan, which we're going to talk about a little bit here. We also monitor it. So once we leave, we want to make sure it's in force and that it's being taken care of, from the bill reconciliation to customer service. So what should you expect from your consultant? Evaluation of your current plan to pinpoint the cost drivers. We kind of talked about those cost drivers with the Cal Pears spend. You got to know where you're spending the money to know how to mitigate against those type of spends. The cost drivers will help you find solutions or products that suit your particular needs as a group. We also have actuarial software that we put all our numbers in. We'll crunch those, and at the back end, we show you where you're at and what type of drivers. Well, a lot of those are emergency room visits, right? We use emergency room sometimes as our primary care physician. So we'll take a look at all those different cost drivers and come up with solutions for you. We review your current benefits and or coordinate with existing benefits. And then, of course, we present that to the city, and you guys make a decision depending on where we're at with that. So ongoing education, again, that's very important. Looking at some of those numbers, and I could go over numbers until you're blue in the face, but really looking at those cost drivers is very important on your healthcare system. Go ahead. So we have a benefits support team, and we start off by saying, hey, implementation, once you get past the consulting piece and you make a decision, we have to implement your plan. Then we run it through technology, make sure all the EDI feeds are correct with all the different carriers, and we would start the enrollment. Enrollment's very important. Again, we go back to that education process, right? So we would have some communication via flyers, via online enrollment booklets. So I'm going to show you that in a second here. And then we take a look, once we implement that plan, we're going to be looking at eligibility and the reconciliation to include customer service. So let us walk you through one of these benefit books. Does everyone have one? So after talking to you for several different meetings, we kind of put together a benefit booklet for you guys to look at. The rates in there do not bold. These are just generic rates, but we wanted to show you that we came prepared with a timeline. So we have that for all of your employees. But also in addition to that, we have an online program. So the day of enrollment, we usually send someone out to do an enrollment education process, and then we go through a small presentation. But they would also be sent home with one of these packages for the enrollment later on. For HR, we've got another side of our enrollment software that does ad hoc reports, enrollment features on it to include improving employee communication. It gains instant access to your data. So I don't know if you're using online enrollment systems right now, but that would be something that would come along if you chose us. Easy to use, you can customize it. It streamlines your benefits and it shows you what the employees are going to get at the end of the day, to include the changes in their paycheck, all kinds of neat things to help you recruit and retain your employees down the road. So this is another shot of our employee management system for the employees. And some employees are tech savvy, right? So they want to go home and enroll online, and they'd be able to do that with this system. But we would have you do an online enrollment if you wanted to. We'd also have bilingual enrollers at all your different facilities that would be able to go through and basically enroll in English and Spanish. The software also transitions on the fly, so you could press a button and it would go from English to Spanish or any other language you needed. So we wanted to include a timeline with this on the enrollment and implementation timeline with no product changes. So if this was awarded today and we were to get this case, we'd immediately begin negotiating with your current carrier on a reduction of what you're paying right now. The system would be built out within several days, 8 days, the system would be built out. The communication, we have your benefit booklets all printed up, and this is with no change in products. And then we go on through the enrollment and eventually fees. So people ask, hey, can you build a system in 8 days? And we built a system for about a 3,900 man school district within 15 days. So we're well capable and within the range of doing that with a straight cost, no product change type of program. But with a product change, you're always going to take a little bit of time. If you were to award this to us immediately, we would start negotiating with carriers. We find out what plan suits you guys best from a cost perspective. We can have come back for another board meeting if necessary, and you can make a decision on that. The system build out, though, if we were to do something by January 8th as far as making a decision, which that'd be pushing it, right, with the holidays and everything you got going on. So it may even go into February. But the point of all this was we have a plan for you, the system build out, communicating to your employees, the enrollment, and getting all your EDI feeds out and all the ID cards. So I want to thank you for your time here. I know that we had 15 minutes. We try to push a lot of stuff into that. A lot of times we like to go into data because at the end of the day, you need customer service, but you also have to look at a lot of data to make these types of decisions, in our opinion. We appreciate you having us here over the last 4 meetings. We hope that we've had a little part of this education process, and we want to serve you. Have a Merry Christmas. Oh, sorry.
Steve, yeah, thank you. Just a couple of questions, but T, right now, do our staff members participate in the purchase, or we provide 100% of that cost?
Provide 100%.
So really the payroll interface, is that the reason that we interface with payroll if they did participate?
So you have voluntary products as well, disability, accident programs, gap programs, all of those different things would pop up on your electronic feeds. And so we would put that in one place for you so that it's very convenient. Now what we like to do is come up beside your HR department and be an extension of them and be able to help out with those situations. And you can call our number and you're going to have somebody that's going to answer immediately. And we can pull all that data up too and be able to assist you in both Spanish and English.
One other question about the self-insurance.
So if you're asking a little about self-funded, I've got groups that are self-funded that are in the 50 range, right, and above.
50 employees.
50 employee range, correct. And the nice thing about self-funded, and I'm a big advocate of self-funding, because right away you're going to save about 4% in taxes from the state, right? Because it's not regulated necessarily by the state. The stop-loss insurance is, but not the day-to-day money. Now, the other thing is You get to see all the transparency, what you're spending your money on. A lot of times, we don't know what we're spending the money on. I mean, if you guys were to go down to the local hardware store and buy something for a project you were working on, you would know what you're paying for every nut and bolt out there. When you're fully insured, you literally get a statement at the end of the day, and you can't make sense of it, because I can, and I've been in this business for 25 years. So what I'm trying to say is transparency is key to saving money in the healthcare spends, and I'm very passionate, our company is very passionate about that, transparency.
So in part of the consultant is you could possibly guide us down that path, become more self-funded.
We would run numbers through our actuarial software to answer your question. That would show you what the risk tolerance would be, using 100% as very reliable or accurate, and we would go from there. We present those numbers. In most cases, you can take a look pretty quickly. Once we digest those numbers, go through them, and figure out if it's something that you wanted to go down the road of. Because partially self-funded, I'm not necessarily talking about self-funded, so there's two different categories, right? Partially self-funded, you have stop loss that protects you from going over a certain number. So let's just say we had a $100,000 spend on a fully insured product, and we have $100,000 worth of plan liability within a self-funded category. That means that if you go over $100,000 in the partially self-funded category, there is no more risk to that money. Okay, that's it. But if you had a good year and you spent about 85% of the premiums versus the claims, right, the money in versus money going out, you would now keep the difference there. So that's 15%, and it can mean next year mitigating against plan increases, maybe giving the employees some type of premium holiday. There's all kinds of things you can do under a partially self-funded program.
Is your program going to be able to integrate with our payroll system? Say, suppose we were to offer short-term disability for them, life insurance and what have you. Would you be able to work with our payroll department to, in order for each individual employee, or?
Yes, sir, we sure would. We could do that on. We haven't had a problem with that, and to answer your question, yes, we could.
See, and the last thing I want is for our payroll department to be overloaded with all this, you know.
That's a great point, and that's why we say we'd come up beside your HR department and help integrate that, make sure that you don't have a lot of fuss with that, because last thing you want to do is having more challenges when it comes to implementing a new program, if that's what you decided to do.
And how about ex-employees like Cobra? Would y'all be?
Yes, all these programs would include Cobra, FMLA, those types of things would all be within the beginning stages of evaluating your plans, figuring out a design that works for you, and then of course you approving it here at the commissioner, working with your administrative staff.
I have a question. So as agent of record, how long would your contract be with the city or engagement with the city?
That would be up to you. We feel like, you know, I think I've talked about this one of the other previous meetings, that if we do all the work for 1 year, we're going to at least want the case for 1 year. We usually put out a 2-year contract minimal, and then you have a option to extend a year for the next 2 years. But, you know, under almost all contracts I've seen in any public municipality, you got a 30-day out in a lot of those. If someone doesn't perform their duties, whether it's me or any other group, to your standards, they can get rid of them within 30 days usually.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you,
for your
sir.
time.
SWBC?
Excuse me.
Good evening. My name is Andrew Grove. I'm Senior Vice President of Sales and Market Development for SWBC. I've got Jonathan Amato with me, who's one of our Senior Benefits Consultants, and I've got Ralph Aigala, who's one of our Commercial Lines producers here with us tonight. For those of you that aren't familiar with SWBC, we're a fairly large company. We're located in San Antonio. We've got roughly 2,000 employees. At last count, we're about the 12th largest private employer in San Antonio. And now the entire company is not devoted to insurance. We're 17 different divisions. We do mortgages, we do real estate, we do a lot of different things. My division is employee benefits consulting, and so that's where the three of us come from tonight. And so first thing I'll talk about is obviously there's SWBC from a picture across the country. But the nice thing about this is while we are a nationwide company, with the headquarters in San Antonio, all the resources that we're going to talk about this evening are all located in San Antonio, so roughly an hour away. And so one of the first things I'll talk about is when you're making your decision on who's going to be your consultant or your insurance agent, one of the things that you want to have is clout in the business. Now, prior to my career with SWBC, I was over the large group division of Humana for 20 years, had a 20-year career there before I came with SWBC 5 years ago. And basically what my job was is I was the person who insurance agents came to and negotiated renewals. And really in that regard, you really want somebody that's got a good book of business, that has a great partnership with you to be able to advocate on your behalf. So SWBC, with all the main carriers, we're at basically the highest level. So we're a super elite status with Aetna. We're Platinum, one of only 2 agencies in San Antonio that are Platinum producers of United Healthcare. In addition to that, I'm on the National Advisory Board for United Healthcare, Blue Cross Blue Shield, we're a premier partner. Basically, we have clout and relationships to help you. And where it's important is that health insurance is such a transactional thing. I'm sure everyone in this room has probably had an instance with their health insurance where a claim didn't get paid right. My doctor's not in the network. Something came up with the bill. I'm not saying we can fix everything, but we have a significant amount of business and high-level relationships that we have that ability to get things done and advocate on behalf of our clients. And we think we're pretty successful at that. The next thing is I want to show you a picture of our team. Now, this is our employee benefits consulting group. Very similar to most teams that you would see. If you awarded your business to us, obviously we would assign an account manager that would handle that day-to-day stuff. Jonathan would be your consultant, and I would handle from an executive sponsorship level. But there's a couple things that are unique that I'd like to point out is when we created our division, two of the things that we wanted to do was be unique, right? Everybody has account managers, everybody has salespeople. We also have a communications manager and a wellness program manager. So if you go with SWBC, all these communications, all these nice things that you're looking at, we don't have to run down to Kinko's to get that done. We own our own print facility. We have our own marketing department. You've probably seen our commercials on TV with Tony Parker. Not so much now that he left the church, but he's on our commercials. But basically what that means is anything that you want to come up from the standpoint of education for your employees, which is very important, as was spoken about earlier, we can create custom pieces. It's not just some things that we get on our system. We do custom stuff. Same thing with our wellness program manager. Some of our agents, competitors have wellness program managers who maybe used to be a trainer at the gym and now they're a wellness program manager. Our wellness program manager is an adjunct professor at UIW teaching population health. He has 2 master's degrees and he's working on his PhD. So not only will we do the analytical stuff to analyze your benefits to see what's best for you, we'll also have our wellness person look at it and find areas where we can say, gosh, we have a high incidence of people with hypertension. We need to get some education out there to everybody, or whatever that is. Not just that stuff that every agent shoots out that they all have. This is custom to your population. And then next, we thought obviously they pay me and Jonathan to tell you how great we are every day. We thought we'd show a swath of just a few of our clients. We have over 300 commercial clients. We don't just work with public entities, though. We work with all types. We do the San Antonio Spurs. We do Harlandale Independent School District. We have Kerr County, the Melrose store. So it's kind of we don't specialize in any one agency. We specialize in all industries out there. So I think there's going to be names that pretty much any one of you would recognize. And I think that shows the type of business that we do by the clients speak for themselves. The main 4 parts in our operating model are compliance, strategic benefit plans, wellness strategies, and human resources. One of the things that has been talked about a whole lot is compliance. Compliance is a big deal, especially if you're talking about self-funding. Self-funding is not just about getting a handle on your costs, that puts you in a whole other arena of compliance. Then you're looking at your employees' health information, so there's a lot of things that have to be done. We have our own compliance officers that would come out here if you decided down the road that self-funding was the best way to go. We would actually HIPAA certify your people, so that way you don't get yourself into compliance trouble. So yeah, you could save some money with self-funding, it's not for sure, and I'll talk about that in a second. But the point is, you're taking on a whole lot of responsibility, fiduciary responsibility for people's medical information, which is something you can't take lightly. And we, in addition to that compliance officer, in our home office, we have our own legal department. So if I have to go and get a legal opinion, I don't have to go somewhere else. I go to the 6th floor, and I'm on the 5th floor. So you'll get that extra thing, which is included in our services. The human resources aspect, I'll talk a little bit about that. Basically, what we'll do is we'll do as much as you want us to do. If you want us to reconcile your bills, add all your employees when they're new to the plans, take them off when they're terminated, do all that, be the first line of phone calls when people have issues, we can do that. If you want your folks to triage folks before they come to us, we can do that too. But the key is, we'll give you as much help as you want, maybe more than you want. Basically, this next thing kind of lays out that operating model. Because you saw all those folks, but basically, we're not going to have your HR staff work with a whole bunch of different people. It's really going to be just a small team of folks that surround you. So obviously, Jonathan would be the strategic person that would work with you, which strategic route you wanted to go. From a leadership perspective, that's what I'm here to kind of back him up. And then we have an account manager, Javier Guevara, he actually handles most of our public sector business for us. He handles Harlandale Independent School District for us. He actually used to work for the city of San Antonio in the benefits department, so he really knows what you have to think about every day. And then obviously our communication manager, our wellness person. And the last couple things, we talked about, there was some talk about actuarial software, which is very important. What we've chosen to do is we actually have a partnership with Milliman. Some of you probably have heard of them. They're the 4th largest actuarial firm in the world. We have an exclusive agreement with them in this marketplace to where they do all of the analytics. Because sometimes it's a good thing to have your insurance agent doing it, sometimes it's not. I work for the insurance company. When I had agencies come to me and say, hey, our actuarial software said your rate increase should be 20%, and it really, we want it to be 15%, it didn't really hold a lot of stock with me. That's why we went the independent route. So Milliman is an independent, so if you ever audited, you got independent actuaries, they're going to come up with whatever they come up with. They're not going to come up with what Andrew wants so he can go get a better renewal or a worse renewal. That's going to be the importance of having that. And the second piece is, you talked a little bit about self-funding. What they'll do is a self-insured feasibility analysis. They will look at 3 to 4 years of your claims, plan it out, and compare it with their database of 50 million lives to compare with whether it makes sense for you to be self-funded or not. So that way, you've got a signed off actuarial thing. So if anybody ever questions that decision, it was signed off by independent actuaries, and they're 4th largest in the world. And then the next thing is, talk a little bit about wellness strategies. We've done wellness strategies for lots of our different companies. I talked about it before, and it's really up to you. Our wellness person can come help you start one, establish a wellness program, brand your wellness program. If you don't want all that, what he can do is bring some turnkey things that he's done at other employers to see if it'll work here. We've done this weight loss program, it works here, let's try this here. Different things, but it's not cookie cutter stuff. It'll be things that will look at your employees' conditions and what's important for you, and then develop customized wellness solutions around that. And then the next piece is on the communication piece. I handed out all the ones that I had, but each one of you should have a white folder. And this, if you open that white folder up, on the left-hand side, first and foremost, there's a benefit card in there. Right now, employees probably get 4 or 5 different cards, a dental card, a vision card, whatever card. We'll actually print out a custom card that'll ring in to our customer service so they don't have to fumble around with 5 different cards at a time. So we'll do custom cards that'll have your logo, it'll have your look, so employees really see that it's your information. And then also, we've got a copy of our benefit booklet. And then on the right-hand side, I put and that's just a mock-up of what it could look like. If you want to put pictures of City Hall on there, if you want to put pictures of real employees, really make it custom and make the employees feel like it's something of theirs, we can do that. The example I put on the right-hand side, there's a recommendation letter that we got from Harlandale Independent School District on the right. There's some wellness material, but I also put a copy of the Spurs guide in there that we just created for them for their open enrollment for 2019, so that'll give you an idea. We do school districts, put pictures of their buses on there. It really makes it nice because, as has been stated earlier, you spend a lot of money. And you want the employees to see like, wow, look what I got. You know, I can take this home, I can show this at home. We can give you a digital version too, but we print this standard, we don't charge anything extra for any of the stuff that I've talked about so far. In addition, Benefits Connect, which is our electronic enrollment system. This is an enrollment system that we also provide for our clients at no additional charge. So you would have an open enrollment system that you could use. It's a system that keeps going after open enrollment. It has a library function where all the employees' information can be on there so they can look online and look at information throughout the year. So that's something that, you know, if you want it, it's there. If you don't want it, that's fine. We can do paper style. I can have 10 people out here doing enrollments and education if you need it. And we can do paper, we can do whatever you want, but that's there in case you need it. And then one of the last things that I think is a bit unique into what we do is HR workplace services. So a lot of times benefits guys get asked questions about HR stuff that we don't really have any business answering, okay? So this is a service that we provide to all of our customers to where they will get a team of HR professionals. So your HR department will have a team of folks here that they just want a second opinion. You know, if there's an employee issue, employee handbook, something with anything that's outside of benefits, but it's HR, we provide this service at no additional charge too. And it's a wonderful thing. The clients can either come through us and we'll ask them, you know, for you, or they can call directly and set them up with a team. And it's really a nice benefit that gives them a little bit of extra stuff because a lot of times if you have maybe a legal question, you want it to go to your attorney and spend X amount of dollars when maybe you could get just that second backup answer that'll make you feel more confident to make a decision. And then the last couple things, this is more kind of lying around more the boilerplate type stuff. So we will provide legislative updates, that sort of thing. And then last, I know I'm probably talking way past 15 minutes, I know, but what makes us different, obviously, is experience. 1 minute, experience leadership. I have 30 years in the business. I was a practice leader for a major insurance company in San Antonio. My boss, who's the CEO of our division, was head of the state of Texas for Humana. So he got lots of experience. Jonathan's 10 years in the business. He doesn't look like it, but he is a senior business consultant. And then obviously skilled account management, unparalleled negotiating power to get things fixed when they're messed up, get you the best prices, get you good deals. And then we talk about our analytics, wellness, communication, and compliance, which is something important that can get you in a lot of trouble. You don't have that done. Now I'm out of breath.
Thank you very much.
That's all I have to try to talk. Yes, sir.
Andrew, a couple of questions. Forgive my lack of knowledge, but aren't the insurance rates set by the state? So whether y'all get the insurance or you guys get the insurance, you go out to the suppliers, is it the pricing is going to be same? And if not, do you have a rate that we can look at or what you charge?
I'd have to almost ask you a question too. So yes, how many employees are on the plan today?
65 or 70.
Well, when you're over when you're in the 2 to 50 range, the rates are in community rating, so they are very much set. And so when they start off, they're set, and you can't really, there's not much negotiating room. When you're over 50 employees, there is some negotiation room. Now, yes, if you said to us and you said to our competitor, go out to the market and get us quotes from Blue Cross and Humana, the initial quote's gonna be pretty much the same. For 2 reasons. The insurance company guy, like I was, would sit back and say, both of these guys report to me, so I'm not going to give one a better rate because I'm going to make them mad. I'm not going to get business from these guys. But when you make that final decision, you can have some negotiating power there, but then it's also where it's important, it's a renewal. It's a renewal, and it has to do with exceptions. So a renewal, and exceptions, when exceptions come up, so like the claim issue, but no, a renewal very well could be. I mean, if I get a phone call and you know, maybe I know kind of the way to work it a little bit better, because negotiating with an insurance company is an art. It's not a science. And I've literally sat in that seat for 20 years. And you not only is it just what was the loss ratio, what are the high claimants, all that kind of stuff, it's also, golly, are they looking for more membership? Are they looking to grow? Did they just renegotiate a hospital contract? Are they doing this? And so you have to kind of understand their motivation to do that. So to answer your question, in the beginning, generally the base rates are the same. Okay, generally they're the same. But once you have an agent working on your behalf, they do differentiate themselves through negotiating renewals. One maybe you'll get a little better deal because Maybe I've got a $10 million book with Blue Cross, you know, maybe the other guys have 20, it just depends. And then that instance, which happens to everybody, where you can't get to see a specialist, or there's a situation where I need to get a claim fixed, I probably figured out how to fix that because I was on the other side for 20 years. You know, I used to do pay and educate, so I'd get a phone call, a broker said, Andrew, my client went out of the network, they didn't know. Well, I guess I can make an exception on this, but next time don't do it. Not everybody knows that inside baseball.
You done?
The only problem that I foresee is, we're a small fish. Okay? How are we gonna be treated in comparison to the Spurs and Kielbasa
And sometimes I feel, you know, I'm real careful because I do get that question because I think, okay, I put this swath up there, it looks really good, but then, you know, we do clients of all sizes, okay? I mean, we have somewhere over, you know, between 300 and 400 commercial clients. I'd say about 150 of them have less than 100 employees. So you're really not a small fish for us. I can tell you that we just are launching, and you'll probably hear about this, we are launching a program with the San Antonio Chamber of Commerce that's strictly geared for employers with less than 50. So we have entire people within our agency that's what they work with. So you won't have somebody who's working with you that's probably working with you. Your account manager is working with you, may, you know, handle a large case, but then a lot of small ones too. So I would say no, I wouldn't be here. I mean, we responded to your request for proposal, took a lot of care in doing that because we want your business, and we took a lot of care in putting a lot of material together because we do want your business.
How do you feel about a needy human resource department?
When I said we had about 350, we got about 320 needy HR departments in that list of 350. Would you say
Yeah,
so, John?
and I would just add, you know, we're a privately held company. Same two founders own the company today. They founded the company in 1976. And they built the company to what it is today by taking extra care for every single client, every single individual. And so that really permeates throughout the entire company, down to myself, our account management team, is making sure that we treat every customer with, you know, kind of gloves on to make sure that we're meeting all their needs and returning their phone calls within 24 hours, those type of things.
Alrighty, any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
One other question, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
The wellness program, is that any cost to us?
No, it is not.
The barometrics, screens, and stuff like that?
Biometric screenings depend on the carrier which one you're with. Some of the carriers, that'll be part of the deal. If it's not something that's covered under your plan, we can help facilitate that, get that on site, or we don't cover the actual cost of it. It's really wellness consulting. If it's something that's outside the plan, that would be, it could be a cost.
Alrighty, thank you very much.
Depending on the carrier, some of the carriers do that, right?
Absolutely. Most of them did. Most of them did.
Alrighty, moving on to item 6, action to consent agendas. 6A, discussion and possible action regarding approval of minutes for August 7th. I will encompass B, September 11th, as well as C, November the 5th, city council meeting. Action items, so we need to entertain a motion to discuss.
Motion to discuss.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Madam Mayor, Council, these are the two sets that we did not have at the last meeting and then the previous set, to get everything back on track.
Awesome. You guys had a chance to peruse the minutes? Any discussion? No, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of August 7th, September 11th, as well as November 5th.
Madam, are you going to take all three?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we approve consent agenda items 6, A, B, and C.
There's- All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. So we're moving on to item 7A, discussion and possible action regarding the possible selection of an insurance agent of record for the city of Pearsall. This is an action item. Need to entertain a motion to discuss, please.
Motion to discuss.
Second.
All in favor?
Madam Mayor, Council, again, just to recap, at the request of the council, we issued an RFP for an insurance agent of record to give the council the opportunity to consider potentially hiring an insurance agent of record. So you have a couple of choices. You can, one, pick an insurance agent record for the two that you just heard the proposals from, or two, not pick one, because you don't have to pick one. Originally, we had 4 proposals. A committee met, made up of 2 of the council members and staff members, and rated the proposals. The 2 that presented to you tonight finished with a tie score, and both of them met all the requirements of the RFP, so either one of them was eligible to use it. For that, you can ask us more questions, you guys can discuss it. I would recommend, I guess, if you could do it one of 2 ways. You could either,
Take a vote on each.
yeah, each person, for each person, you could just have the clerk call the roll, and they could vote for the one that they want.
Okay, we have.
What is the cost to the city by the services, for these services?
That's what they pay for through the provider. Yeah, we don't pay them, the provider pays them.
Madam Mayor, a couple of questions. So forgive me, I'm just trying to recall, this is about, we're talking about our premium, right? So we're talking about like $250,000 or what is our total premium?
So,
More or less, just.
so what you guys did at the start of this budget year, we just held the insurance that we had.
Right.
Rather than accepting the proposal that was brought to us by our previous insurance agent of record, waited until that contract was over, issued the RFP for this. And in the meantime, we've been collecting the data that we need to be able to move forward with getting an RFP for insurance as well. Yeah, we're probably paying, it's right at $250,000 a year. Yeah, somewhere right at $250,000 a year for insurance. The city provides 100% cost on medical insurance. The employees pay 100% cost on medical and gap. The employees pay dental, vision, whatever else that they want. And we pay, city pays 100% on the employee. If the employees carry spouse, children, whatever, they pay for that.
Well, I certainly from my perspective appreciate both your companies coming out and consistently coming back to Pearsall, and it is interesting, really for myself. You know, my decision is just going to be made on the sales pitch. You know, the performance is yet to be seen. You know, but I feel like we do need to get this done. I think, you know, one of you guys are going to be successful in taking this down that road. So again, to both of you, from my perspective, thank you for coming, and thank you for diligently presenting this, and just going to have to decide which one made the better presentation. I don't know from my perspective, but thank you both for doing it.
One thing I was impressed with is the wellness program. As a physician assistant, I find doing a lot of physical on different companies around the area. The requirement of most insurance is that the wellness programs are implemented, and I find these individuals being proactive and taking care of themselves when you have a wellness program, and we need that very much here in City Hall, because in the education component too, you're actually teaching, because we can only do so much in the clinic. So I was very impressed with that. Now, what I did not hear from you guys, you may have that as well, but you did not mention it. So thank you very much for at least discussing and bringing that as an option as well. Okay. So we're going to vote individually on each one. So we'll do a roll call for all in favor of having a record of agent as Maple Brooks. We're going to do a roll call.
Or do you want to do for each one, or you just want to have each member say who they would select?
Okay, we can do it the easy way.
She can call
Robert Villarreal.
SWC.
Richard Gonda is not present. Sonia Hernandez.
SWC.
Brenda Trevino.
SWC.
Juliana Hernandez.
SWBC.
Ben Briscoe.
SWBC.
And Galen Frazier.
Maple Brooks.
Congratulations goes to SWBC.
Thank you guys. Thank you for coming.
All right, we're moving on to item 7B. Discussion and possible action regarding resolution number 2018-12-02, authorizing submission of the 2019-2020 Texas Community Development Program application. This is an action item. Need to entertain a motion to discuss, please.
Motion to discuss.
May I have a second?
Second.
Be careful. All in favor? Discussion?
Madam Mayor, Council, before you is a resolution for the 2019-2020 CDBG project, basically just saying that we are going to do a project. That's the next step. We have a representative from CDBG here. Do you have anything you want to add to that?
No, sir.
This is just saying, this is basically saying we're going to do it, and this is committing us to our portion, to our share of it, is what it's really doing, is committing us to our portion. So I recommend that you approve it.
Okay. Entertain a motion to approve or address resolution number 2018-012-02.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I move that we authorize submission for resolution number 2018-12-02.
Alrighty, there's a motion on the table. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Alrighty, we're moving on to item C, discussion and possible action regarding resolution number 2018-12-03, appointing a council member to serve on the Pearsall County Appraisal District Board of Directors. This is an action item. Need to entertain a motion to discuss, please.
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Madam Mayor, Council, this is an item we have to do every year in December. The city is responsible for having a member to serve on the Pearsall County Appraisal District Board of Directors. Currently, that's the mayor. I just want to read you the eligibility requirements real quick, so that if anybody's interested, if the mayor also wants to keep her, who's planning on wanting it, but serve on the board, an individual must have resided in the district for at least 2 years preceding the date taking office. An employee of a taxing unit that participates in the district may not serve, however, an elected official or member of the governing body of the participating taxing entity may serve. So you guys can serve if we can. An individual is ineligible to serve on the board if he or she owns property on which delinquent property taxes have been owed for more than 60 days after the date he or she knew or should have known of the delinquency, unless the individual is paying the delinquent taxes under an installment agreement or has deferred or abated a suit to collect the taxes. The individual may not be appointed or continue to serve on the board if related within the second degree of affinity to an appraiser who appraises property for use in the district, or a person who represents property owners for compensation before board. So those are the only requirements. I think mayor's on right now. Councilman Briscoe sat on it before. The other one was Councilman Lopez, Toby Lopez, so that's the one that's been here since it's been on since I meets once a month, correct?
Twice or quarterly?
Twice, yeah.
Any volunteers to serve? It's a great learning experience.
Well, that has to go very quick, did it?
Okay.
So make a motion, I'll make it quick and elect.
We need to make a motion.
For citizens, right?
We need to entertain a motion to appoint.
Second.
I make a motion to appoint Julia.
I second that.
All in favor?
Thank you. What's the meeting?
When did it start? When does it start?
January.
January.
Yeah, your term is on the end, on December 31st.
Okay. Alrighty, discussion and consider resolution number 2018-12-04, approving service provider agreement between Pearsall County Emergency Service District 1 and the City of Pearsall for the provision of emergency protection and other services. Action.
We didn't receive that today, so can we postpone that to the next meeting?
Okay. No action on item D. So, item E, discussion and possible action regarding approval of RFP and salute stages. Bank depository application for the fiscal year 2018 and 2019. This is an action item. Entertain a motion to discuss, please.
Motion to discuss.
Second.
All in favor? Alrighty.
Madam Mayor,
Discussion.
Council, our current agreement ends at the end of this year. And I'll have the finance director go over this.
Okay, so this is the bank depository services. We entered into a year term, so it's already up, so we're going out for a request for proposal for a bank depository. Basically, it's the same verbiage as we've had before. The only things we change, of course, are the dates. We will end it December 26th at 10 o'clock to go ahead and turn in all proposals. And it is for a 5-year term versus a 1-year. Government local code authorizes us to go for a 5-year term rather than going every year. So that'll help with the process. And also, we did include, other than the regular services, through banking services, we did incorporate credit cards for each department on emergency purposes to have that accessibility. And pretty much that was it. And so we're just asking for approval so we can go ahead and submit this out to start getting some proposals in for our banking services.
Any questions?
So just a little follow-up on this. By law, we have to do this, of course. It's the same parameters we always put out. Doing it every year there's no sense in doing it every year. We do it every year. It's cumbersome to do it every year. Local government code allows you to do up to a 5-year period. You just get comfortable working with who you're working with in a year, and then all of a sudden we're changing it to go through the whole process again. The additional part on the credit cards, the city does have credit cards. They're American Express cards though, and we get charged a lot to use those cards. So we've been talking about, we're working with the current bank that we have right now on getting a Visa card to use instead, so there's no fee per transaction. But it was so close to the end of the year that they get real excited about doing it because we were just about done with our term with them anyway. And by the time we got to get work done, got the cards, we'd been done with the term, and who knows, we'd have been with them still in the future anyway. So that's another part of the 5-year thing. I think gives a little bit more stability on what we're doing with the financial part. Makes it a little bit easier.
The cards, are they going to be a debit card?
No, that's a credit card. That's a credit card. That's what we have right now. We have 3 right now? 4.
Yes, we have some.
Yeah, we have some different departments have it for emergency purposes. Like we'll have a card at the fire department, so they get called out at 3 o'clock in the morning. They have to get fuel. They can go get fuel. So it doesn't have to come in and write a check or do something to get them fuel.
Everything will still be approved on a daily basis. The only thing with the debit card, it hits directly into our account. We don't want that. So credit cards allows them to continue to utilize the process of getting the approvals before purchasing anything. So that's why we pretty much go
But
before the credit card.
the local bank doesn't have their own credit card though. You still have to pay a fee, is that not correct?
Well, this is what this is for. So once we get those proposals back, it'll identify what the monthly charges, transaction fees, anything like that, and we'll go ahead and go for the best. That's basically what the proposal will identify.
And we may end up dropping the credit card portion off and going to another company to get the credit cards. If there's a bigger fee than what we can get it by just getting a Visa card, then we won't do that. But it gives them the option to do it.
And who are we with currently?
Security.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we go ahead and submit this to receive bids for our depository.
May I have a second, please? Second. All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Item F, discussion and possible action regarding a fee waiver request from ICE for a retirement ceremony. Entertain a motion to discuss, please.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Madam Mayor, Council, we have a gentleman here from ICE who you want to talk to, you just.
I just,
came.
if y'all have questions, I just came to represent the honor guard.
Okay.
Okay, so we're allowing the honor guard to use the facility for practice now.
Which
facility?
Request,
Which facility?
the Civic Center.
Oh, okay.
Civic Center. They sent us a request asking for usage of the Civic Center on December 19th for a retirement ceremony. They want to utilize the indoor space, definitely and possibly the outdoor space. The event would not be open to the public. They would assume responsibility for cleanup of the area. It would be from 8 to 4, so it's an all-day event, but they asked that the fees be waived. So I had to, so of course it has to go to you because you guys have approved fees by ordinance, and we talked about waiving fees before, so. I put it on the agenda because I can't waive fees. I mean, from an administrative standpoint, I can't do it. From a budgetary standpoint, I can't do it, so. That's your decision.
Go ahead.
First and foremost, thank you guys. Thank you guys for what you do, keeping us safe, and certainly appreciate the value of that. And we're a local, and they're one of our federal partners, municipality, and so certainly I am more than willing to make that motion that we waive that fee for them on this basis.
Okay, so this retirement program, who's retiring? It's
We have two
several?
We have 2 officers retiring. They serve for 20 years plus, military, border patrol, and ICE. And we just wanted to put this together.
And it's a nice function. Am I understanding
It's
that
nice.
correctly?
It's, yeah. Go ahead.
So currently, we're waiving fees for your, the use of the building for you all to train, is that correct?
I think so.
I didn't even question.
Training.
They're using the building now to train,
Yeah, you guys allowed that before.
and we're waiving fees on that.
But it's, the training thing's like an hour, 2 hours, it's not very.
It's from 8,
Yeah.
give or take, till about 11. They're usually out by noon. It's just once a month and something, every other month. It's every other month.
So it's at a time the building's not being used. You know, we've talked about waiving fees before, and stuff, and if you do it for one group, you gotta do it for another group, and, yeah, all that stuff.
That's my concern. My concern is that if, you know, I understand it's for legitimate reasons, so forth. But if we start doing this, I mean, we're not going to really have a civic center to rent at some point. And so I think we're already working with you guys on the training part, getting to use the building and so forth. But that's my concern. That was my concern last time, that I believe another group came, it was a Casa or some other group came. We need to, probably, I feel, as a council, as a city, maybe maintain the integrity of the fee structure out there and try to recoup some of those.
Treat it as a business.
Well, and I agree, you know, one of the things that I thought about, and this is just, I'm just throwing this out there, but, you know, we could, as a council, you guys can say, yeah, we'll do one a month where we donate to a cause or whatever for something like that, as long as the facility's not, somebody doesn't request to rent the facility at that same time. You know, so you wouldn't be able to reserve it 3 months before for a free event, but if you wanted to do something, you know, a week before, if it wasn't rented, and we hadn't done our one donation of to some period, some amount of time for a civic group or for something else, and now to a private individual, no, but for another government, something else that's government lending, you can do that. I think that's something that might be worth considering,
I
but.
think that's a good idea.
So that would be your one.
So with this one fit in that.
We don't have, nobody's asked for it for the 19th, have it?
No, and it's 19th is during the middle of the week. And it's pretty much a daytime function. What was it times?
8 to 4 at the
Yeah,
most.
8 a.m. to 4 p.m. We wouldn't have the news otherwise.
So if you guys chose to this one, then we could formalize this in a policy at the next council meeting, have something that says we'll do one a month, and, you know, if it's another government entity or something, we'll figure out something to do it. But now you're not setting the precedent that we have to, you know, why'd you do it for them, not for us? Well, where you did one this month, we're not doing another one this month.
The other example is Casa doing a fundraiser bingo that's in January. And the fees were waived for that.
Yeah, we made the fees for that one, they reserved it 3 times, and canceled 3 times, and then they reserved it again. And so they just keep bouncing, and it's like, have it or don't have it, but I mean, you know, we bounce around. But that was one of the council waived fees. And so they're not really worried about whether they have it because they're not meant for it.
I think your idea is good because
Yes.
we do want to work with our partners out in the community.
Exactly.
And if this fits, so this month.
Well,
Get the
there's a
motion?
motion on the table.
There's a motion on the table to approve it. Okay, I have a second?
What was the motion? Well, I thought we were
The
discussing.
motion was to waive the fees.
For this, how much change the motion to waive the fees for this one entity for this 1 month? This will be our first step in the,
For this month.
for this one.
Well, so the motion is to waive the fees. Now, should I rescind the motion and restate it?
I can just amend it. I move that
Or
we.
can you amend
the-
my motion?
Yeah, it needs a second first though. Need a second on his motion, then it can be amended.
Yes, he can be.
I'll second.
Now you can.
I move that we
What is
amend
it?
the motion to create a program to waive fees once a month for other governmental agencies, or however we choose to structure it, but to have that as a, brought before us in the next meeting.
There's a motion on the table.
And to go ahead and
Well, he did not have one.
Yeah, okay.
His motion covers that.
So I'll second that.
So
All
vote
in
on the amendment
favor?
First. You gotta vote on the amendment first, then the motion.
Yeah.
What?
You're just speaking way too fast.
Seconding the amendment, and then you're
You
gonna go
have to vote
ahead
on the
and
amendment
motion.
first.
Okay.
and then vote on the motion.
Second the amendment.
Okay, so he seconded it, the
Okay.
amendment.
The amendment.
Okay, now, all in favor, right?
All in favor
Amendment.
Of the
Of the
amendment.
amendment.
of the mem, now,
And now all in favor of the motion.
all in favor for the motion.
Okay.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, you got it.
Okay.
You're-
Now he's like, what is the final verdict?
So do we get it or not?
Okay, moving on to H? No, G. Discussion of possible action regarding ordinance number 2018-12-02, amended the adopted budget for the fiscal year October 1st, 2018. Action item, entertain a motion to discuss, please.
Motion to discuss?
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Yes, sir.
Madam Mayor, Council, ordinance 2018-1202, the first budget amendment that's before you tonight, would create a line item in the administration revenues portion of the budget for $5,000 to be able to keep track of the business licenses. So we're keeping them separated, so we know how much a business license is, and we look in there, we know how many businesses paid, we know how many businesses we have. It makes it a whole lot easier for us to keep track of it. It doesn't create an expenditure from it, but it creates a revenue line item so we can keep track of it.
Questions?
So when business pay, that's where it's gonna be.
That's where it'll go, and that way we can keep track of it easier. And we did set it at 5,000. The comptroller shows 162 businesses in town, so theoretically it should be more than that. But we set it at 5,000 just so that's the place to start, so we can keep track of it.
Okay, no
Motion
further.
to approve. Second.
All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to H, discussion of possible action regarding ordinance number 2018-12-03, amended, amending the adopted budget fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2018. Action item, entertain a motion to discuss, please.
Motion to discuss.
Second.
All in favor?
Madam Mayor, Council, ordinance 2018-1203, the second one you're looking at, this is what we discussed at the special meeting last week. This would increase the general fund budget by $486,116.26 as a transfer in from revenues, or as transfer in from reserves, not revenues, from reserves. And would give us, then that would be put into wages and salaries for the three positions that you discussed, which was, part of it would go to streets for a equipment operator, CDL driver, for a PD officer, and for a compliance officer. And we'll put the balance of that $450,000 into equipment to buy the maintainer. And we'll put the balance of that money, which is $280,817.26 into the street and roadways for repairs and maintenance. So recommend you approve that.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay.
All in favor? All in favor? Show of hands. Awesome. Motion carries unanimously. Item I, discussion of possible action regarding ordinance number 2018-12-04, amending the adopted budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2018. Action item, entertain a motion to discuss, please. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Madam Mayor, Council, 2018-1204, the third one for you, we have not discussed this before, but we brought it before you tonight anyway. This is a request to transfer $11,412 from the reserves of the hotel occupancy tax fund into the operating budget for the Hotel Tourism Center, so we can purchase new tables and new chairs and a stage for the Civic Center, because the old tables and old chairs are already scratching the floor. And so they're rusted. If you go out there and look, that building looks magnificent right now until you look at the tables.
Till you look at the tables.
Tables, chairs look horrible. So this will put 252 new chairs, all new tables, and a portable stage riser that would fit between the two bathrooms where the old stage used to be, because that old stage had to be torn out. It would be one that would stand up against the wall and sit down, so if people are out there and they want an elevated area in the front to be able to get up above the crowd, they can get somebody elevated up above the crowd.
Question, why wasn't this, part of the budget when we were discussing the budget?
Because we didn't know that those tables and chairs were going to tear that thing up until possibly.
Yeah, I was out there for a function. Kind of a bit embarrassed by the
I thought we had round tables.
We do have, we're keeping those.
No, the
But it's all those
chairs.
old round tables. It's all those old round tables, you know, they have those rubber feet on the bottom of them, and half of them are missing the rubber feet, so that gives you a metal hole coming down. And people are sliding back and forth, they're sliding tables and chairs around and sliding back and forth on those, and it's scratching the floor pretty bad.
It needs a platform.
Have you got a proposal on this already?
You don't have to.
Well, there's 3 quotes, yeah, we got 3 quotes, and that was the cheapest that we got.
How do you know how much to spend?
RFPs or, you said
Under
proposal?
50,000.
A proposal, I mean, how much things are gonna cost? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
It's $11,412. We got 3 quotes. 3
Quotes,
sets of quotes,
quotes,
yeah.
there we go.
Proposal quote, same
We
thing.
we got 3 sets of quotes, that was the cheapest quote we could get. 252 chairs. The stage is 5 sections of the stage, and it was 35 tables, 35 new tables. Plus, we'll keep the white blow mold tables that are out there, we'll keep those. It's just the brown ones that are being replaced. And that's enough to
Those
seat.
brown chairs again, right?
No, they'll be white, everything will be white. And it's enough to seat 252 people.
Good.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, by show of hands? Motion carries unanimously. All right, moving on to J, discussion of possible action regarding ordinance number 2018-12-01, amending ordinance number 2016-06-02, regulating temporary open air market, providing a repealing clause, providing a severability clause, providing a saving clause, providing for a penalty of fine, or providing for an effective date. Action item, entertain a motion to discuss, please.
Motion to discuss.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Madam Mayor, Council, at the last meeting, we approved an amendment to the transient vendor ordinance, which segregated it specifically to festivals or permits or parades or whatever that are approved by the city, which was one of the things we originally tried to do when we started talking about this 2 years ago. I talked to Councilman Hernandez about this 2 or 3 times, and he was confused, but he wasn't confused, and it confused me, and I finally figured out where we went wrong. Originally, we had 3 of these ordinances that we were talking about. We approved 2, we never approved the third one. The third one was the one that you kept thinking got approved. So we got the transient vendor ordinance fixed last time, so that applies to all of our festivals. So if there's a festival in town, it's either city sponsored, and then they have to have a transient vendor permit for that, or it's something that has to be permitted by the city, whether it's at a church event, market days, the museum, Pioneer Days, any of those gets permit from the city, then they run the event, and that, so the transit vendor ordinance covers that. The other thing that we were talking about was these people who are sitting beside the streets and are doing all this kind of stuff. So there's actually 2 different groups of those as well. We had the open air market ordinance, which I think at that meeting 2 years ago, when we discussed it, that was what we thought was going to cover those people. When you go back and read through that open air market ordinance, it's very specific as to what it does, and it has a very specific purpose. Open air markets are for bigger cities, really for someplace like San Antonio, where they have, where somebody has a field and they have a bunch of food trucks come in every 3rd Friday night or something like that. The open air market ordinance we have applies to anybody who is allowing somebody to sell on their private property. So if we have a private property owner and they're allowing somebody to set up on their property and sell grave markers, sell turkey legs, whatever they're allowed to sell, that private property owner is supposed to come in and get this permit to allow them to sell on their property. Then they're responsible for making sure that they meet their food requirements and all that stuff. So this still has a very specific role here in what we do, and how we do it. So this ordinance, the amendment to this ordinance is very simple. It's just to say that this ordinance applies to everything that is not a short-term vendor, which is the one we'll talk about in the next one, which was the original one that we thought we did. Or it doesn't apply to a festival that's permitted, that's ran by or permitted by the city. So it says transient vendors are permitted or are under a festival permit from the city. Short-term vendors or something else. If you're allowing somebody to sell on your private property, you will come in and get this permit before you allow them to sell on your property. So we got to make these people, this is to make those people that are allowing these roadside vendors to set up in their parking lots responsible for those vendors. They're responsible for what they're doing out there. If they're saying, yeah, you could set up out here and sell food, or you could sell it, this puts a responsibility on them. So if something happens and somebody sells food and somebody gets sick or whatever, that goes back to the person that has this permit. It's not on us. It's not our responsibility to go out there and check them. One other thing with this, the ordinance, when we amended it in 2016, we never established a fee for it. The ordinance said that the council could from time to time establish a fee for what these permits will cost. The ordinance is very clear that the permit's good for a year, so if they come in and get it, the permit's good for a year. But we never established a fee for them either. So attach an exhibit A to it, where you guys can establish whatever fee you want to establish as part of this ordinance too. So the changes in it are just to say, this doesn't apply to short-term vendors, which we'll talk about in the next item on the agenda. This doesn't apply to transit vendors, which is permits and parades and festivals and that stuff. This applies to those people that are repetitively setting up private property with permission, and they have to get the permit for that. So this is the landowner. Now, the person selling still has to come get a permit too, but this is what's responsibility of the landowner is letting them do it.
Just a real quick question. So I see those guys in the HEB parking lot.
They shouldn't be there anymore. Peter's supposed to be keeping an eye on him. They don't have permission to be there.
Okay.
Yeah. Because
And
it
I
even
think I
says
saw
no
that person
trespassing.
trying to set up at another private business today, or at least talking to another private business.
So this open air policy here, or ordinance, will force O'Reilly's to come and pick up the permit?
They'll have to get the permit to allow the person to sell there. Then that person will have to come and get a short-term vendor permit to sell there. So they both have to get a permit.
But we're still not
Well, all the
talking about the
requirements are
bake
making sure.
sales, the high schools and all of that. That's,
No, that-
we're not talking about that.
No,
You're talking
no.
about, okay,
Nope.
the grade markers,
But
flowers.
you're gonna define the short term here in just a minute.
That's the next.
That's not the
Okay.
That's the one we
cheerleaders.
never passed before.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
so the question I have is, I don't know if this should be a year permit? $50 for what, a yearly permit?
No, but there's no fee on this one. You can establish that fee, whatever you want to establish it when you do this. You make it $1,000 if you want to.
Do we have any precedents as far as surrounding communities or anything else for this fee? Just,
The
what
only
to
one I know
charge?
that does these is San Antonio.
Some of the surrounding communities really don't allow very much selling out. They allow some, but not much. What I'm concerned about is as we move forward towards developing Main Street and some of the smaller businesses that we want to hopefully bring into town, when you think of ways to curtail some of the selling that's happening out there.
Well, all those people that are setting up are they're hurting local businesses, we know that. I mean, they're hurting the smaller local businesses, every time they sell something, and they're not paying taxes on it, we know that, because we're not seeing tax payments from any of these. And so we need to get them under control. And so what we did last week, this one, and the next one, then we'll have everything we need to not only regulate them, but then also the businesses that are allowing them to sell on their property and regulate them too.
So what's the recommendation? What kind of fees?
Well,
On the length of the permit, I mean, I don't know if we should go a year. I mean, that's,
if you make it a 6-month permit at 500 or a 1-year permit at 1,000, what's the difference? Let's make it work for us if it's a year. Makes it easier on the staff here. Longer term, just make the fee appropriate.
Mm-hmm. That's only
That'd probably
$80 a
cover.
month. Mm-hmm.
But you also said that agricultural products are not
If they're raised in Frio County, we don't have any jurisdiction over it. They can sell anywhere they want to.
Can you define what the short term is then so we know who gets a pass?
Short term would be 72 hours. If they're not at a parade, festival, or city approved one.
So that would be the cheerleaders, the PTAs.
No, the cheerleaders don't. The schools exempt from that too. The schools
Schools are exempt.
How about the churches?
they're not.
Churches are not exempt. But the churches are doing it on their property. That's fundraising for church and the-
Yeah.
Now, if the church is having a festival, they have to come get a festival permit, but then they run the festival just like Market Days runs theirs, just like Pioneer Days run theirs.
So if it's a local nonprofit, schools, whatever, and they sell at O'Reilly's,
Local farmers, theoretically, if local rancher wanted to come sell his cows around the street corner, it's the same thing, it's a local agricultural product, we wouldn't have any, we wouldn't permit him either.
So they have to get a year permit. They still need a surety bond as well?
It's all in there, and the food service stuff, and a lot of these, what we see is, especially with some of the local businesses that way, they're setting up and selling food right there on the side and competing with the restaurants, but they're not paying taxes there, and that, I guarantee that stuff doesn't meet food handler specifications. So, I mean, this puts all that on the property, to make sure that that person has everything that they have, so if they're not, then they get cited as well, so they'll quit letting them sell on the property.
go Peter.
What about a private citizen fundraiser?
That's different.
That's different.
So a private citizen wants to raise money for whatever, or what is there, what are they gonna do? Because that's what we typically see on a Saturday afternoon, we see these folks selling cakes or tacos or whatever, and, oh, we're raising money for A, B, and C. I don't know.
That's
how
short
they're
term.
supposed to check on them, or?
No, that's short term.
That'd be a short-term bidder.
So they have to have a permit?
That's where they have to have a permit. We, like the cheerleaders, when they
Short-term.
do their fill the megaphone thing, they come in and get a permit. We waive the fee, but they get the permit so that the guys stop them, they have, because they're, from the school, they get the fee waived. But they come in and get the permit before they do that. The school groups are good about that.
And in that case, would the landowner need one too then?
No, not, well, the landowner was us on that, because they're standing on the street.
Well, if it was O'Reilly's, 'cause I see barbecue plates there all the time,
At O'Reilly's?
at O'Reilly's. And it looks like it's kids, it looks like it's a church or a school.
The whole thing with the open air market is that if the landowner's repetitively letting people come and sell on their property, then they're supposed to have that permit.
Okay.
If they're repetitively allowing people to come and sell for O'Reilly's, people sell, letting people sell grade markers, and they're letting people, and they're repetitively letting, they fall into the open air market.
And what did you say about the churches and when they're on their property?
If they're on their property, they can do whatever they want on their property.
I'm surprised that O'Reilly's lets people do anything there because of the liability involved.
I agree.
I wonder if corporate knows.
But they don't.
Well, that's a leased building, it belongs to Greater Roberts, so who really should pay for that, Greater Roberts or
Greater
O'Reilly's?
Roberts.
Leaseholders should probably.
I would say leaseholders. Yeah, if he's leasing them to use the land, I would say Grady's.
Leaseholder assumes all other responsibilities, so.
And I'm sure Grady's got that in the contract somewhere.
I'm sure so.
He didn't miss that. But yeah, if they're allowing somebody to sell food there and somebody gets sick, boy.
So we need to establish an amount as well as,
I would appreciate if we left it at the year so it's less work on the staff and just make the fee appropriate.
So you said a year and $1,000?
That sounds fair to me.
okay?
Motion.
I don't, well,
Want to make a motion?
Make motion.
That was a motion?
well, I'll make a motion then.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I'll second it.
A year and $1,000. And they still gotta get the surety bond.
It's in there.
There's a motion on the table.
Second.
All in favor? No. Motion carries 6-1.
Can I have those in order, raise their hand again? I'll show you Juliana Hernandez, Brenda,
This-
Ben, and Galen.
Yeah.
Those against? Robert and Sonia.
This is for the businesses that allow it.
So that was,
Businesses, yes.
that was approved at $1,000 for 1 year, correct? $1,000 for 1 year permit.
Alrighty. Item K, discussion of possible action regarding ordinance number 2018-12-05 requiring a permit for certain short-term vendors. Action item, entertain a motion to discuss, please.
Motion to discuss?
Second, all in favor? Yes, sir.
Madam Mayor, Council, this is the ordinance that never got done last time that the Councilor Hernandez kept referring to, that we never did approve. This ordinance would apply to every person who sells inside of the city that is not at a city-sponsored parade, festival, or whatever. So if they're not a transient vendor, and they're here short-term, they fall into this. The 72-hour maximum on the permit. Originally, we had talked about $50. I put 100 in here. You guys can change it to whatever you want. But this is the one that you were looking for, that you thought that we did that we never did.
Yeah, and I remember we talked about, cutting it back to like 14 days or something like that. We never approved it, but we did talk about those short-term vendors coming in and within their 14 days, they could sell whatever they need to sell. But they have to need permit each time they want to come in.
You can change it to 14 days, we don't change it to 14 days. Originally, we discussed this as 3 days. I think maybe we did talk about 3 days maybe not being enough. It could be, we talked about some different timeframes in there. I think we talked about 30 days once, we talked about 14. That was originally set at 3, or it's whatever. This is your policy, so it's whatever you guys want. But this was the missing link that you kept looking for, and we never got it approved.
Well, the concern again is that those short-term vendors that come into town and they sell, whatever they may sell, they're not really paying we don't know they're paying taxes. They're not really paying overhead, they're not paying rent costs, utility costs, or any other fees to the city, and so forth. And so,
And if their product's junk, they're gone before they
yeah,
figure it out.
and the concern is for health as well, because a lot of these people sell food items, and even online, there's a lot of food that's being sold online as well, and it's being sold. And it's affecting our businesses, local businesses, even our restaurants, you know. So I'm gonna say, you know, I think the permit needs to be for like 14 days or a month at a time, and they have to renew after that.
Who's gonna police that?
Well, the question,
Everybody does. PD polices that,
Compliance.
our code office will police that, anybody sees, I see people pull over and sell stuff, I stop them. I mean, it's everybody.
I have a question. So if a person wants to sell just for one day, he has to get a 14-day permit?
well, that's the way it's been in the past.
Yeah, that's always been the past.
Really?
And it was.
But you don't ever see anybody come in and sell for 1 day. We don't ever
Well,
see-
no,
Yeah.
you know, or 2 days, I mean, you know, I mean, I don't think,
Well, they don't get a permit in most cases.
Yeah, a lot of people, if they're gonna try to come in here for 1 or 2 days and get out, they try to do it without permit.
could we make like a permit, a minimum of 72 hours with a maximum of 30 days? I mean,
Do it however you guys want to.
You know, I'm trying to think who does this? Who's an example of this? I can't.
Well, an example is like the person that is now at O'Reilly's. Okay, they're selling.
Barbecue place.
At O'Reilly's. They're selling.
Tamales or.
Well, not
Regular
that.
burgers.
Flowers.
They're selling.
Oh, not the
some,
food guy.
No.
Craft stuff.
some craft flowers and stuff.
Oh.
Well, my concern is that the resale shop here, they closed down because they were selling the same product, and they've closed down. They can't compete. They've got overhead, rents, utilities, and so forth. So if we're gonna establish a few small businesses in town, especially here along the hub of the city, we need to figure out how to regulate that. So maybe a monthly permit.
I think as we get people coming in and looking at these shops on Main Street and wanting to consider putting something in, they're seeing those people scattered everywhere. It's gonna have a negative impact on people wanting to make that investment. There's no doubt about that.
That and the online sales.
Alrighty.
Time frame seems to be an issue. Everybody's got it scattered around on the time frame. You could do it 3 to 30 days cost per day.
exactly.
It's so much per day. If they want it for 2 days, they get it for, or for 3 days, they get it for 3 days. If they want it for 14, get it for 14, they pay for 14. Whatever you guys want to do, we can change it up real quick and make it fit.
I honestly think that, I mean, it's more economical, I mean, to do, I mean, it makes more sense to me, a 72, minimum 72 hours with a maximum of maybe 30 days or.
I would say 14 days.
Oh, 15
Yeah,
days.
we make 30 days, we can make it be higher.
Yeah.
Because they're not paying overhead, they're not paying for any of that stuff. And that's, that's not fair to our local business.
Unless we do 72, 14.
Just be 14, $5.
And what's the fee?
What's the fee right now? 50?
50 at 14 days.
Is that enough?
Yeah.
What is?
At 3 days, 50 would be sufficient.
So, and we're looking at it then it's per day, that work? For 72
$15
hours?
a day,
How much?
15 a day.
15 per day?
1.5?
Yeah.
Most places where you go to an open air market, you're paying $25 to $50 for a day.
Right.
$15 a day seems.
Any of the events we have, if somebody comes there paying $25 per day.
So $75 for the 72 permit, 72-hour permit.
No, 15 a day, the 72 permit would be 45, which would be the equivalent of what it is now.
No, but you were saying that normally you charge $25 per day. Okay.
Yeah, it would be 75 right now if we were doing this.
Exactly.
But but on the events, so although on the events, the event coordinator's paying that deal, and then that's $100 permit for the event permit.
So why don't we just say $15 a day regardless of how many days you want to pay the city for.
Do that too?
If they want to pay the city for 100 days,
We'll take it.
we'll take it.
I feel right with that.
But it has to have a minimum at least for 72, I mean,
I would say minimum of 3 days.
because the administrative cost, I mean.
I agree, absolutely. I'd say minimum of 3 days.
So minimum of 3 days, $15 a day, paid to the city.
Okay,
I second it.
that was a motion. There's a second. Show of hands, agree? All in favor? 6 to 1. You against? Okay.
6-0?
6 and 1, 6 to 1. Alrighty, we're moving on to discussion and possible action. Considering the closure of city offices on December 14, 2018. Action item. Entertain a motion, discuss please.
Motion to discuss.
May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Madam Mayor, Council, the additional part that we ordered for the Christmas event will be here Thursday morning at 7:30. We have to get Snowzilla set up Thursday, so we have time to get it cleaned and everything done. So I have to block Ash Street starting Thursday morning first thing, and then Friday morning, we're gonna have to block this way starting first thing. So people, trunk or treat, they were driving past the barricades trying to run over our bounce houses. So we're gonna have to have these 2 streets closed off. There's no way I can get people in and out, driving in and out of here for that day. So we don't really have any choice but to close City Hall now on Friday. We'll keep everything else on, but City Hall's gonna have to be closed.
Is this a paid or not?
No, they're all working. They're all working the event. Everybody's working. Staff's not off. But instead of coming in at 8, they'll come in at 1 and help set up in the afternoon and then work the event that night.
Alrighty.
It'll be pretty weather.
Yay.
The weather,
Supposed to be gorgeous.
supposed to be.
Supposed to be gorgeous. First time ever we finally get 2 good days of weather for this thing.
When is Sun Market Street going to be closed? And does it have to be closed all the way?
So it doesn't have to be closed all the way. It's gonna have to be closed by noon on Friday, probably around noon on Friday, because we got, all the vendors will be coming, because vendors have to be set up by 5.
So they're going to be on Sun Market?
That San Marcos will be full of vendors. There'll be vendors here, there'll be vendors over here. There's gonna be full this time compared to,
But you're not blocking the clinic's traffic.
not that side. No, they'll be
Okay.
able to get in on San Marcos over there, but not on
Okay.
this side.
So vendors are going to stay overnight?
And we'll have an officer out here overnight to watch everything. We have to have an officer anyway, because we get the bounce out, we can't take the slide down, we can't. I mean, we have to have somebody, we always do have somebody out here overnight watching it.
Alrighty. Entertain a motion to address this, please.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we allow the closure of City Hall for December 14, 2018.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, by show of hands. Motion carries unanimously. Item M, presentation, discussion, and possible action regarding current master planning process. Action item, entertain a motion to discuss, please.
Motion to discuss?
Second.
All in favor? Yes, sir.
trying to get, I'm supposed to give you an update on the master plan process. First of all, I'll start by showing the scope of the comprehensive plan. In March, earlier this year, I had explained the master plan process to you guys. And then later, when I started working here formally, I presented the timeline, the local development scheme, which was adopted by the council in March. Now, everything I'm doing is being driven by that timeline. So, but in the scope, we have the local development scheme here and the statement of community involvement, the two circles in front. We have the action area plans, the two circles at the side, and we have the main comprehensive plan in the center. The local development scheme, like I said, has been already adopted. So let me give you guys.
Uche, do you have it in hard copy?
Sorry?
Do you have something in hard copy?
In what?
Hard copy.
Yeah, that's what I want to give you guys this thing, the local development scheme, so that you can refer to it as a okay, good. What you have now is the local development scheme, which was adopted earlier. Now I have enumerated details of that timetable. The first was commencing the comprehensive plan preparation. We started in April formally, and we started with a community meeting at the library. We have taken care of that. Consultation and getting a city vision, we have also taken care of that at this time. At the moment, we are on the second stage, initiating sustainability appraisal, evidence gathering, and consultation. Basically, a collection of data. That's what we're supposed to be doing between August and February. So technically, if you look at that timeline, you would think, or you would say that we're within the parameters of the LDS, that's the local development scheme. However, if you notice in the initial bubble diagram, there is or even in the LDS that you have, the second page, the west side, there's an action area plan, the west side, Pearsall. By now, we're supposed to have gone further than we are already. What you're looking at is the overall comprehensive plan that suggests that we are on time. However, we haven't taken care of the sustainability appraisal. Is a report that is crucial to the creation or preparation of this plan. That report, I explained what it is, I think on page 5. I explained what sustainability appraisal does. One of the reasons being, when I took on this job, first of all, I didn't know how the department is run. I didn't know whether I was going to work with people in the same department. So when I came, I realized that there was nobody in the department but me. the comprehensive plan is not what one person does. I had said it here when we were doing the budget workshop. It's not what one person does. And I also stated certain things that will delay the plan. One of it being if there are no resources, staff, funding, whatever. So in the budget that we just adopted for this fiscal year, there was no provision for the comprehensive plan. So even though I presented some figures for the comprehensive plan by way of the reports, what I would need for the reports, for some reason there was no provision. So although we are still on time, but the sustainability appraisal report has not been done. But I'll move on to the next slide. Just to establish what we have concluded so far and what is in progress. Like I said, the vision statement, the evidence gathering, community survey, data collection. We spent a lot of time on community survey, but it was good because that is one of the things that makes a plan sound. If you don't do a good job on gathering information, you prepare and produce a plan that is not robust. So the work in progress that we have now is the data analysis. We have collected the data, so we need to analyze the data. After analyzing the data, one of those reports in the bubble diagram, the statement of community involvement, will be produced based on the data we have collected. The annual monitoring report is due. I've decided to make the annual calendar year. Instead of one full year, like I would have said by April, I'll get one annual monitoring report. But I want to produce one this December so that it will be, calendar year that I will use. So what this does, and again, what you have explains what annual monitoring report would do. It gives us, actually, what I'm presenting today is what the annual monitoring report does. The updates. It tells you how far we've gone, how far we are deviating from the plan, if we are deviating, it just gives a status report. That's what it does. So, then the sustainability appraisal, like I talked about, that's all in progress. So the vision statement, like I said, we got that. That is the vision statement based on a survey that we carried out amongst the residents. And there was also a meeting, a community meeting that we carried out towards this vision statement, even though a lot of people did not show up. So, the action area plans like I was talking about, we are behind schedule in the west side Pearsall. What we're supposed to be doing right now in October, if you look at the timetable, is the preparation of draft neighborhood plan, part of the alternatives, and then the preferred option. But I'd like to give you a printout of some things that we have started so far. We've done the survey, obviously. So these are snapshot of what we have in mind for the west side. And then the downtown Pearsall. Although I wrote behind schedule, but I put a question mark there because we have the Main Street program going on, and that's what MSP means. And in the plan, the needs assessment, identification of issues, the Main Street program has already taken care of that. They've done that, you know, although it is in that timeline. So because my own department has not physically done it, it reads behind schedule. But in actuality, Main Street program has taken care of it. That's why I did not highlight it in yellow. You know, it's just in blue. It's just like to check it off that it was not done, but it is being done. The briefing workshop is what also I normally would do to introduce the downtown action plan. You know, the community meeting I would normally call. However, the Main Street program has had a meeting introducing the Main Street program which talks about downtown. So they've also done that. But in that timeline, October 2018, we're supposed to have done the briefing workshop, and then by now we're supposed to have done that. So the real issue really is on the west side. That's what we need to have taken care of. And then, like I had said earlier, the important issues affecting the progress of the comprehensive plan. If you refer to page, I guess it's 6 or 5, where I said risk assessment, the continuity of funding and staffing resources. So staffing resources, I talked about it. I'm just the only one, and even in the collection of data that I'm supposed to do, we were doing well in the vision. You know, those ones I had taken care of before. We were on task, we were on time, because at the time I was doing those ones, the public works director was taking care of an aspect of my role, which is current planning. Current planning, when people come here, they want permits, you know, things, day-to-day activities, you know, code compliant issues. That's what he was doing as well. So I had time to be doing the comprehensive plan. But when he left, I had to take on the current planning. So something had to give. And that's when we started sliding behind. So staffing resources, and I thank God in the last meeting, the council approved the recruitment of a code enforcement officer. I had pleaded for that when we were doing the budget workshop. So there's only one more that I'm hoping that we will approve, which is the planning technician that will take care of aspects of the current plan, which is all this permit application. And then unplanned or unforeseen work or duties. That's what I just talked about. Now, budget allocation, I have mentioned that there was no allocation for the comprehensive plan. So those necessary reports are not funded. There's a crucial aspect of this plan that I need, GIS. It's crucial because I would not be able to produce a plan effectively if we don't have that GIS provision, which will enable me present the document graphically. I need that. I need that really. It's a very important tool for me. But we don't have that anywhere provided for in this year's budget. So I don't know what we're going to do. Hopefully, I have talked about looking into getting a planning grant, and I'm still looking into that to see whether we can get some funds to get that GIS, but it's something that we need to proceed. And then I'm just recapping on I mentioned this when I introduced the master planning process. So I'm just recapping on it. I was trying to give a timeline, how it varies, and then the factors that affect that variety is an initial effort. And for Pearsall, this is an initial effort because we don't have laid down data. I'm going to create the data afresh. So it's going to take more time. Will there be widespread public involvement? Well, I've done the involvement I could do. The community survey took quite a while, but I'm happy we did that. Are there divisions in the municipality? We don't have divisions now. Our city council is, cruising. And then the staff available, if we had staff, that's why I say less time. If there were staff available and not called, and then budget constraints. Because we have budget constraints, it's taking more time. So it's just to bring you back to what I talked about before. So to conclude, I did establish the scope of the comprehensive plan. I mentioned the key milestones that we attained and the milestones that are still outstanding and the challenges. So if you have any questions,
Question? The amount you projected for the GIS is how much?
well, we've had one, I'll call him a vendor, someone who, gave a presentation. He said it was 35,000. I discussed with him, then Xavier was still here. Both of us had a meeting with the man. His presentation is still on my table. He hasn't moved further than that, but it's 35,000.
What does it allow you to do?
What?
What does it allow you to do?
It allows you to do a whole lot of things. GIS, it allows, let me just mention some, your Google map, like you want to find out where you're going, okay? Now in this GIS, for the purpose of this, my comprehensive plan, I will use it to do mapping. It depends on how they configure it and how the software is configured. It can allow me, because right now I even struggle when customers come, they call in, they ask for what is the zoning of this property. And people call, especially the stress Crystal a lot, and Crystal will parry them to me. How many violations has this property got? That GIS can configure to answer all those questions. So when a property has had a violation, it is noted in that GIS. Like I said, it depends on how that software is created. You can manipulate that to give you that information, and it's also color coded. So you know all the properties that have permits, those that are complying, those that, in fact, it gives you a good database for Pearsall. This is after the mapping. I'm not talking about the extras. The basic one is you do your mapping, there's even the zoning map. You have it there,
Gotcha.
You use it to do a lot of things, and I'm sure.
I have a question. So the GIS is more for your other hat that you wear. Is that not correct? Which is the planning and development. I mean, not planning and development, but the zoning. I'm more concerned about the comprehensive.
Planning and community development.
But I'm more concerned about the comprehensive plan here, because no matter how comprehensive you try to make it, if you don't have that data, if you don't gather that data, no matter how comprehensive you make it, you know, if you don't have that data, I mean, we need to get out there and promote it more, because all the meetings that you had, there was lack of attendance. You know, so how could you have gathered all that information on the west side if it was very, I mean, it was poorly attended? I think it needs to be promoted more so people can go out there and explain to them exactly what we're planning to do here in this comprehensive plan. What are our goals for this comprehensive plan?
Was the, I believe there was an online survey as well. It was not just the meetings. There was an online survey that was, it was promoted on, not only here at City Hall, but on water bills as well, was it not?
Are you talking about the data collection? The GIS is different.
Well, the thing is, you do need the data collection in order to establish the comprehensive plan. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so if these meetings were so poorly attended, you know, that's why you don't have the information that you need in order to plug in for the
meetings are, they're just trying to tell the community what we're doing. A lot of the data, a lot of the data was gathered through the online survey.
But gathering this information, this data, will let you know what that particular community
We're saying the
needs.
same thing.
Exactly.
We're saying the same thing. The community survey that I carried out, okay, is what gives me the data I need, not the meetings. And I collected data from the online, like he said, paper form. People came to City Hall, they collected the paper. I had it in Spanish and I had it in English. So they filled out the form, and it was, you know, considering the effort I put there, they responded. They didn't respond as I wanted, but they responded much more than the meetings you're referring to. The people that get to the meeting, handful, 5, 10, but it's not 10 people I'm talking about that filled out the community survey. I had about 100 respondents.
But it's still pretty low compared to what we.
Well, with the effort we put.
Well, figuring out the way to get them to respond is what's hard. I mean, they went out and drove around in the pickup and tried to get people to come out and talk.
With the bullhorn, street by street.
No, seriously.
I did that in the west side. And in fact, the response I got there was quite interesting and encouraging, because it was at that time that people will come out and ask, what are you people doing? And we will explain. And we will give them. It was only at that time.
They thought something was wrong with the water.
Yeah, they thought we had boiled water.
So I really went the full length to engage with the people.
It's like, what you did what? Listen, because we got visitor.
What is the GIS?
Geographic.
Can I answer a little bit of that?
Yeah.
The GIS is the same program that on the county level that the emergency administrator uses. That that's what he uses to assign out 911 addresses for zoning, any kind of permitting for all of that's done. It's the same thing. It combines mapping, coding, zoning, all of that together. It's a very large, comprehensive program.
And so it stands for geographical what?
Information system.
Oh.
The thing that's nice about it is there is tons of CAN data that's available already. All the census data is available, you can plug it in. So it'll have addresses, incomes, I mean, that stuff's all there. Any data that the appraisal district has can be plugged straight in. And you get pieces for everybody else, and it builds your base for you. And you don't really have to recreate the wheel. It's labor intensive to build those things. And then once you get them built, you have to maintain them. If you don't maintain them, they're no good. We use GIS in Public Works right now. That's how we're doing our mapping for the projects and stuff, so we make sure that we know where those new gas lines are at, where the new water lines are at, so that in the future, we don't end up in the spot like we did on these last projects where there was no maps, or where the map said the water line was on one side of the street, it was actually on the other side of the street, where repairs have been made and they weren't marked in there. I mean, so we use it for that already. But again, every time somebody works on something, they gotta go in there, gotta make sure they put it in there, mark it, take the locations and put it in. So it's a labor intensive deal, but it's really good when you get it done.
I just have a couple minutes. This is good for the areas that you were targeting, which is the west side and the Main Street I don't know if it was related to what the council's ideas were on comprehensive planning. When we talked about comprehensive plan, we had several workshops and we established a vision for Pearsall down the road. What do we want Pearsall to look like? What do we want Pearsall to be like, et cetera, et cetera. We had several workshops and we talked about how it could all be put into a plan, a strategic plan for the future, and involving several components. One of those being land use. How are we going to use the land around us? The gentleman that came here and requested a trailer park to get out here, well, we don't have any idea how right now, not a really good idea. I guess we have a general idea. We're going to have a really good idea of how we're going to use our land in our city. Where are we going to put the trailer parks? Where are we going to put businesses? Where are we going to put this and so forth? So we talked about land use. We had lots of conversations about those kinds of things. Housing was another thing that came up. How are we going to address housing for our community's residents? You know, our teachers who need housing in this community, there's not enough housing and so forth. Economic development, business development, how are we going to attract businesses in here, so forth. Okay. Health issues, we addressed some health issues. You know, what are some things that we need to look at when it comes to this community, particularly the health issues? In general, strategies to build up the town, beautify the town, aesthetic-wise, whatever. We talked about, you know, how do we want our downtown to look, sidewalks, and so forth. But in general, when we looked at other comprehensive plans, like from Bandera and other cities, they use a lot of information that, like we're talking about with GIS, a lot of demographical stuff, a lot of information on economic numbers and so forth, to develop their plan.
Yeah.
It's a map for down the road.
I understand.
Okay, and so we had a vision, and I don't know if all that's communicated to you.
It's still there.
Okay.
You know, when I
think he's setting
gave
the foundation
you,
for the vision.
when I gave you guys the master plan process, I talked about all these things you're talking about.
Okay, but
If you remember, I just don't have the PowerPoint. I would have played it. Everything you said is in that presentation.
so how are you addressing it? Your 2 projects?
No, I haven't even gotten there. What I just did is gathering the
Data to start.
And this is one of the most important. Gathering that data, the community will have to tell me what they want, whether they even want, in terms of community facilities, what type do they want? You know, what you're mentioning, they are bullet points in every comprehensive plan. Housing, land use, you know, community facilities, economic development, all of transportation. You know, you did mention transportation is part of it as well.
Transportation, revenue.
Those, all of them will be addressed. That's what I'm saying. But I can't begin to plan without the people. Otherwise, I would have finished it all long ago. But who am I planning for? They have to make an input. It is that input I'm waiting for. You know, it's that input that prompted me to do the community survey, to get their input. So when I'm now planning, I'm translating their needs into the plan.
So we have a lot of pieces of it. It's like revenue resources. We talked about that. The annexation and all those things that have been done to raise revenues. I mean, that's part of what needs to be in the strategic plan.
It will be.
It's going to drive our budgets. It's going to help pay for things.
You know the best thing, if I had gotten to the draft plan, which all of you will read, and not just all of you, the citizens will also read it and make comments on it. Okay? That chapter will have everything you're talking about. So if we missed a point or two, you will notate it and let us know, and we'll go back to the drawing board. It is when we get to the draft plan that you start seeing this thing taking shape. Right now, we are just collecting data. If you looked at my questionnaire, I just don't want to waste your time. I would have, maybe there is one here. Yeah. If you look at the questionnaire, you will see that by the time you're reading the questions, it is addressing those needs you're talking about, especially around when you read this table and the other table, it addresses everything you mentioned now. So it is only when they answer to it, like I asked them, do you want to encourage mobile homes? Or you want it to be like this, or you don't have any opinion, or you want to discourage? I'm referring to housing. Do you want single family homes or multi-family homes? I'm referring to housing, okay? And I talked about transportation too. I talked about whether they want a city where they can enter a bus and go to work, or whether they want to drive, their own car. These are ways of getting people's input, and they filled out that. So by the time I show you the analysis of this data, it will begin to make sense. Right now, you wouldn't know what has gone into the, okay.
The report that the Main Street did, that's a lot of information there that you can use to utilize to start building what you're actually talking about. They've already done a lot of the work for free.
For downtown.
For free.
For downtown.
Well, they're actually doing it for the city of Pearsall right now. We just got them to do it for the city of Pearsall.
For downtown. So, and I said to you that they did it already.
But the demographics are there for the whole city as well.
Well, the demographics are in that report for the county, but they're paring it down just to the city force right now. So that's being done. And that's gonna cover a lot of that information that he's looking for.
Yeah, so.
But they have.
It's just a matter of time for an order just to.
Yeah. Pieces just keep coming together. And remember one other thing, when you're doing a comprehensive planning process, you have to give the public all that opportunity to jump in there. So and the reality is, with the last one of these I did, we probably had 300 comments from the public. I think we incorporated 2 of them. Because it has to be realistic. They may want to fit in Jerry's factory, that they can ask for whatever they want to ask for. And you pare it down and you put it together when you get to that point. So you give them their part up front, because you have to have a public hearing when you do it. And it's going to have to show that you considered everything that they asked for and why it wasn't included. So, that's all part of the process.
You said you've gotten about 100 responses?
Yeah.
What can we do to help you get more?
I've actually, unless you want us to continue, because,
I think that's completed.
Yeah, the community survey times.
Is that something that would help you down the road, or is what you have to do?
It's okay, more so what Mr. Jackson just said, but it's okay for me. The evidence I've gathered so far is okay for me, to continue. In fact, I was quite happy when October 31st came and, that I had concluded that because it was beginning to look like a nightmare where, people don't seem to respond, But that is done, and I'm happy with the volume of responses that I got.
Okay.
Alrighty, we're gonna move on. Thank you very much. Do we have to, it's an action item or just discussion? Okay, we're gonna move on to executive session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.
Item 8, executive session in accordance with Texas Government Code, Chapter 501, Subchapter D, 501.071. Item 8, discussion regarding litigation between South Texas Electric Co-op versus Frio CAD involving the city of Pearsall as participant taxing entity. Need to entertain a motion to go into executive session, please?
Second.
All in favor? The time is 9:04. Entertain a motion to return from the executive session. The time is 9:39.
Motion to return.
Second.
All in favor? Alrighty, open session. Item A, no action taken. There was no decisions made in executive session. Okay, on to manager's report.
Madam Mayor, Council, a few things for tonight. Main Street First Friday for December. Unfortunately, the December event we had to cancel due to the weather last Friday because it was miserable, cold, and raining. But we will resume the events in January, weather permitting. Finance report at this time, I want to let our finance director give you the finance report.
Madam Mayor, Council Member, November 30th, 2018 financial report is there on your tables. We're currently at 16.67% of our budget going in. The total past due of utility bills currently is at $237,186.15. Past due over 90 days is $158.70 $1,211.42. All our debt is scheduled to be paid on March and September, so nothing has been paid out currently. Our cash on deposit as of November 30th for the general fund, we have $136,860.99. Utilities fund, we do have $2,735.26. The fire fund is at $73,884.24. Our CO bond, we currently have $1,829,673.40. The hotel motel fund, we currently have $312,005.51. Interest and sinking, $229,987.95. Police forfeiture, $13,450.21. Police training, $10,269.43. The fire reserves is still at $41,024.73. And all accumulated other funds is $341,190.59 with a grand total of $4,991,082.31.
Time out. Anybody say anything?
Oh,
No negative?
There's not a negative. There's officially $2,735.20 in the utility fund.
so our utility fund is finally seeing a positive there. Okay, so on the other right side, the ad valorem taxes, we budgeted $2,080,885, and we're currently at $1,292,476.49, which is 62% of our budget. Delinquent, 60,000 was budgeted, and we're currently at 14,699.27 for a 24.50% of our budget. Penalty, interest, and costs, 35,000 was budgeted. We've accumulated 3,804.99 at 10% of our budget. City sales tax, we have a budget of $2,500,000. We've currently received $356,730.22, which is 14.27% of our budget. Mixed beverage tax, we have $5,000. We've currently received $1,122.84, which is 22% of our budget. Franchise fees, $330,000 was budgeted, and we currently have received $75,214.47, which is 22.79% of our budget. Total revenues for these line items is $5,010,885, and we have currently collected $1,744.48.28, which is 34% of that budget. If you go on below, this is as of October 1st through November 30th. General fund total revenue year to date is $2.433,802.71. Total expenditures is $1.416.94 with a net over of $1,429,785.77. Right over is our utilities fund for a total revenue of $804,075.81 and our total expenditures of $657,714.02, which is a net over of $145,071.79. And then you will see the breakdown between your water and sewer fund and your gas and your garbage. We do have a net over in the water and sewer fund of $222,301.98, and then we are under in gas fund based on the revenues and expenditures we've accumulated year to date, which is a negative of $49,295.50, and that is because we did pay our prepayment for moving gas, so that's where that comes into play. Garbage fund total revenues $271,049.23. Total expenditures $251,077.34 with a net over of $19,971.89. So you're able to see what each of those, what those breakdowns are. For your month your total revenue for the month for just your general fund and utilities alone is 2.6749.92, and then your expenditures for the month is 841,166.89. So your net over 1.759, 583.03 for the month. And then at the bottom, we've identified the funds transferred for the month. So we did a transfer that was approved at the beginning with the approved budget from the general fund balance to transfer in reserves of 530,000. That was the insurance estimation that we estimated that would be the remaining balance to carry over to the next budget. So that was approved on the budget, and we went ahead and transferred those funds. Now, at the end of the budget, we did identify and reconcile. There was an extra 126,809.12, which we did do the budget amendment last month to go ahead and move those remaining funds of those insurance balance over into to go ahead and transfer in reserves. So from your general fund balance into transfer in reserves was 126,809.12. And then your hotel motel fund balance, what was approved at the budget support balance budget, was 27,000 to go ahead and transfer in reserves. Again, that one was approved at the time of when we did the budget, so that was just transferring it over. Hotel motel fund balance, transfer into reserves. This is the remaining renovations for the Civic Center that we did not pay out the retainage that we did a budget amendment last month that y'all approved. So this was going ahead to move those from the fund balance into the reserve fund of 86,715 to go ahead and pay out the retainage of the Civic Center renovations, which is already complete, paid for. Are there any questions on that one?
Yes, ma'am. How are we feeling about sales tax? Looks like it's averaging about 178,000. Is that down just a tish?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this, I think at the last meeting. Comptroller was supposed to start collecting in the newly annexed area. We projected that. They bumped our collection start 2 months. So those first 2 months of the year when we thought we should be, they're starting October 1st, they were collecting out there, but we get the payment 2 months late. They were supposed to start collecting in August, so they would collect August, September, we would get the first payment in October. They didn't start collecting until October 1st, so we won't see the first payment until this month. I think that we're about 2% short right now, which I'm not that worried about the 2%.
Was it? Well, I was thinking it was about 200,000, but it wasn't quite that much.
No, it's not quite that much. No, so I think we'll be fine.
Okay. The next question is on the 90 days and over utility delinquents. Are we going to, do anything to start?
Yeah, we're working on those. It's lack of resources right now. We're having trouble getting people hired. I can't get anybody past the drug test, or anybody that wants to work to come in and apply for jobs. The last batch we had, they have driver's licenses, they couldn't pass drug tests, couldn't pass physicals. Just having problems getting people hired right now, so we're kind of short in that department. But I know Rudy went in and went through applications this morning. We're trying to get some more people brought in so we can send them for drug tests. If they won't pass them, then we'll see what we can do.
And that'll move kind of to the forefront.
On the second page, the financial summary report identifies all your funds, the current budget, the year-to-date month, and net available. So you have your general fund with a total budget of $6,096,544.12. Our year-to-date is $2,433,802.71. And then again, our month is $2,212,723 and 14 cents. So what we still need to collect is $3,662,741.41. CDBG is $275,000 budgeted with year-to-date of $13,050. Net available is $261,950. Fire fund, we have budgeted $130,000. We haven't collected anything. We have collected for December, but nothing in October or November. So it remains at $130,000. The CO CO bond, we've already collected those funds. Hotel motel fund, we budgeted 400,215. Year-to-date, 215,000. Our month is 155,360 and 83 cents. Net available, 185,214.96. So we're at 53% of our budget. Interest and sinking, 419,000. Year to date, we've collected 245,237 and 80 cents. Month is the same. The net available to continue to collect is 173,762.20. That is at 58% of the budget already collected. Police forfeiture fund, we have budgeted 12,000. We haven't received anything, so it's still really what, 12,000. Utilities fund, 4,880,700. Year to date, 804,785.81. Month is collected at 388,026 and 78 cents. So we are still able to collect 4,075,914 and 92 cents. We are at 16%. And then again, we go down to our expenditures. General fund is the same budget amount. Year to date, we've expended 1,004,016 and 94 cents. Our month has accumulated 482,371 and 88 cents with a net available of 5,092,527.18. We are at 16% of our budget where we are right now, so we're okay. The CDBG fund is exactly the same as the revenues. We expend those funds as we receive them, so it equals to that. The fire fund, 130,000 budget. The year-to-date that we've expended is 3,777 and 29 cents. The month is 795.17. Net available 126,622 and 71 cents. 2% of the budget. The CO bond throughout the years, 5,442,202.78. Year to date, we've spent 3,612,529 and 38 cents. For the month, we've expended 38,248.40. The net available for the CO bond for your 2016 is 1,829,673 and 40 cents, which is 66% of the bond already expended. Hotel motel fund, we have a budget of 400,215. Year to date, we've expended $113,051.89. For the month, we've expended $94,389 and 59 cents. The net available for the remainder of the year is $287,163 and 11 cents, which is at 28% of the budget. Interest and sinking, again, we haven't paid out any of our debt, so there's nothing expended out of there. Police forfeiture fund, there's nothing expended out of there. Utilities fund, we have a budget of $4,880,700. Year to date, $659,714.02. The month, we've expended $358,795 and 1 cent. So our net available is 4.2220985 and 98 cents, which is 13% of our budget. And again, we're at 16% of the budget. So the total expenditures throughout these funds is $17,652,885 and 71 cents. Year to date that we've expended is $5,405,739 and 52 cents. For the month, we've expended $987,650 and 5 cents. The net available is $11,830,922 and 38 cents, which is 30% of the budget. And that is all for that report. Do we have any questions?
Can you repeat that?
Missed all of it.
That's not nice.
Amazing, thank you.
Okay, item number 3, continual park renovations are underway. City council selected contractor has began the renovation work at Patino Park. Currently, they're doing the dirt work and laying out the splash pad while they await the arrival of the rest of the components for the new park equipment. And new pieces arriving daily appear to be well on the way to having the completion of all the new park features by March 1st. We also have recently had to build a rail fence around the skate park. I don't know if you guys saw that. And we'll be beginning the new fence around the outside of the park tomorrow due to vandalism. We got somebody going over there on a four-wheeler in the middle of the night and running all over the park and tearing up the grass. And they tried to get it on the skate park, so we got the rail thing built around the skate park. Now they're tearing up all the dirt work we did over there. So we're gonna get that fence built now so we can keep them out of there. The city-sponsored fundraiser tournament, the second Over the Pond tournament that was changed to be on Sunday, December 9th, was again canceled at the request of the cheerleaders. They didn't have, there was another tournament that came up that was supposed to have a bunch of scouts, college scouts there, so everybody canceled on coming in on them and went to the other tournament. This is a tournament the council approved to raise money for the cheerleaders. The group has now asked about moving that tournament to January, which I believe is after the travel abroad, so I don't know if we're gonna look at that or what, but we'll talk to them some more after we get these holiday events over. The Christmas lights on Main Street, for those of you who have not noticed, we added an additional 30 street Christmas lights on Oak Street this year and added in some new light styles as well. This was part of a multi-stage project with AEP. The power connections for the additional lights were requested after Christmas last year. Work was completed by AEP in November of this year. We will be requesting additional power poles on Kamal, Colorado, and North Oak in the newly annexed area for next year. So it takes about a year to get them done. We'll get some more added in for next year. The employee Christmas luncheon the Christmas luncheon for city employees will be held Thursday, December 20th at 11:30 at the Civic Center. As always, the council is invited to attend. Toy giveaway, the annual Christmas toy giveaway will be held in the community room of the library on December 19th, which is next Wednesday at 6 p.m. We picked up a few more small sponsors this year, so we should have plenty of toys for the boys and girls and plenty left over for the police department to do the Blue Santa the next day. The City Downtown Texas Christmas event, the annual Downtown Texas Christmas event will kick off with the Night of Lights Christmas Parade this Friday at 6 p.m. and will run through Saturday night. We have a lot of vendors calling and asking about attending and are planning an event significantly bigger than last year. As of right now, we are forecast to have amazing holiday type weather for both days, and our commercial will have run over 1,700 times on San Antonio TV stations by the time we kick off the event on Friday. We'll have year 2 of Snowzilla, the inaugural appearance of Rudolph the Bucky Reindeer, 2 performances of the one-act Christmas play, music, food, games, s'mores, hot chocolate, carolers, and more. So we'll see you all after the parade here on Friday. Office closures. Don't forget, city offices will be closed December 24th and 25th for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, and January 1st in observance of New Year's Day. Happy holidays to everyone. That's it.
Reviews. General announcements. General announcement. City council inquiries for staff for future agendas. Motion to adjourn.